This is interesting. Friend of the show, Tim Miller, interviewed CNN's Jake Tapper and asked the question that you saw there on screen for a second that Jake Tapper gets a lot, which is, I'll just read from what they put here. Hey, Jake Tapper, write a book about Trump's age. So obviously Jake Tapper, for about 3 weeks on CNN, any subject would be transitioned into a plug for the book. I'm Wolf Blitzer. We're following a car pileup on I-35, and this is just devastating. Look at this. 36 cars now have been totaled after an 18-wheeler pulled in the wrong direction. A hammered man with the first name Pete was at the front of this 18-wheeler. He kept ranting about dudes in dresses and the warrior ethos, and he ended up swerving. The car caused a massive pileup, and that's shocking. Also shocking is Jake Tapper's new book revealing about Biden's decline. It would be like that on everything. And I'm going to make this point a bunch as we watch this, but I don't begrudge journalists for journalizing. If that's not a term, get it into the dictionary, because that's really useful. About Biden's decline and what happened at the end there, you've heard this all before. It's all important. But there was something cringe about how much they were plugging it and the level of discussion. And that's all just little opinions. It's not like some big crazy critique, but it was just a vibes thing that a lot of people got icked by. If you're just mad that anyone would report on the rough behind the scenes at the end of Biden's presidency, that's silly. But I understood that this is kind of weird just how much it's being emphasized. But hey, to each their own. And here was Tim Miller asking Jake Tapper that question. All right, you emphasize a lot that story. How do you decipher whether or not you should make similar books about Trump's cognitive situation? While we watch this, please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show.
Anytime Donald Trump does something insane, starts talking about how he knew about bin Laden ahead of time, or his hand makeup, or his drowsy
Where's
speech.
Jake Tapper?
Yeah, you see the tweets. Hey, Jake Tapper, write a book about this.
What we said about Biden was very specific, and we were not referring to him in ways that people are characterizing it today. That said, certainly Donald Trump seems significantly older now at 79 than he did in his first term. He says things that are bizarre. He rambles. When he says things that are lies, or when he does his wild, I guess he calls it a weave, whatever the weave, that's a personality issue. And it's one that has been apparent from the very beginning. And obviously it's different now than it was in 2015, 16, because he's, much older. But that's a different wing of the hospital than Joe Biden and what Joe Biden was going through, which was like a diminishment of his acuity, according to people close to him who saw it day in, day out. And I see it, I see all the trolls. I see but Trump will do something crazy, and then somebody tweets but Biden didn't recognize George Clooney. I'm like, it's really
wing of the hospital. It's good. That's right.
I don't know why some people react to these things differently than others. I can't speak to it. I mean,
and the Queen had the bruise on her hand and then died a couple days later. So,
But wasn't she 97?
He's 79.
He's old.
So that's a funny place to end it. He's old. What is this, Jaden, that you keep showing me?
Just the largest headphones I've ever seen on Jake Tapper.
As if, just cut back to Jake Tapper, Jaden. Did something go wrong? I heard some weird noises. As if he's mixing the most advanced Metallica album ever. And he has oh no, those are books. I thought that was a soundboard behind him. That's really funny. So I think, honestly, he gets a lot of hate. He gets a lot of hate for that book. And I like mocking kind of just how overdone it was. And some of the anecdotes that were Biden had to be in a wheelchair. It's he was walking around pretty comfortably. But I don't like when people act like there was nothing valuable about that investigative journalism that was done by him and his co-writer. Because there's something really important about a retrospective analysis of what went wrong. And each different people will play a different role in that broader assessment. But we need all the facts that we can get. Maybe this book focuses specifically on Biden and how he's dealing with aging. And then this book over here talks about the Kamala campaign and what went right and wrong there. And then this talks about Tim Walz and why he said this.
I've become friends with school shooters.
No, I'm kidding. Love. And then another book talks about how Trump weaponized hatred, blah, 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 all of that. And we just get all the facts. And then we did that. And that's important. I think just people had a lot of built up rage and they didn't know where to put it. And so we've just been throwing it at everybody. And it is upsetting when Trump's being so terrible and then you've like so much coverage at the exact same time on CNN was about the Biden book. But when else are you going to have that conversation? Yeah, Trump. So, and we're all going to disagree on how much should you prioritize talking about this on this day and that this day. But I don't have like the visceral rage that some people had because I think some things were valuable about it. I did get cringed out and a little icked by certain aspects of the promotion of that book. And I do think it's an important thing to say, all right, that became a best-selling book. We all had that national conversation for a while now. And let's make sure that we learn from that experience and treat Trump with the same level of critical analysis. We make sure that we properly assess what's going on with him, even if he can cloak his issues with bombastic energy. Doesn't mean there aren't issues there just because Biden's manifested in a little bit more your traditional like sleepy vibe.
We fully beat Medicare.
Doesn't mean that Trump's more like ah! Decline isn't something to be concerned about. And then do we have any other Biden ones just while we're on the subject? Because we're about to get to my favorite thing.
Sucker. You're the loser.
Just run the
consider that. Not at all. Guess what? Grows the economy. These are the kind of guys you like to smack in the ass.
That's kind of my take on it. The only thing that bothers me is how people act like this is, and I think Jake Tapper played it. This is when I got mad at Jake. And I know this is very much upset Jake. It ruined really a month, he told me, the fact that I felt negatively towards him, is that he played into the idea that people weren't talking about it before. That's what drives me crazy. I'm like, let's talk about it. Let's figure out everything and let's not hold back. Let's not be partisan about it. But my goodness, the people who go, the White House kept it a secret that Biden was aging really badly. And we're going to reveal what happened. It's like we didn't know how bad it was going to be like by the end with the debate and stuff. But gosh, let's not overstate the right-wing media. And he like apologized to, you know what? No, I'm mad at Jake. You know what? I am rageful. He apologized to Laura Trump. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said you don't have evidence. Everyone, including you, was covering the age-related decline with Biden. Everyone was. I remember it. We covered it. I would have like these breakdowns screaming because I felt like that was the only thing some people were talking about. And it was a factor, but not the only one. Darn it. So that's the only thing I don't like. Don't rewrite history. Give us an accurate telling of history and some things we didn't know at the time, but don't rewrite it with this. No one was allowed to talk about it. Everyone was talking about it. And some of us weren't maybe being critical enough. I put myself in that category. Look at that. 2 times today. I've admitted to being wrong. I stand by way wanting him and over Biden, over Trump and I'm not falling apart. Biden. President Putin. I wanted Putin over Biden. I mean Biden over Putin. I mean Biden over Trump. But of course, and we shouldn't have ignored the accomplishments. And you know, sometimes there were snazzy photos like that, and that's good. And those things you can be nuanced, and people have lost that ability. There were devastating parts. There were epic parts. His speech in Ireland. You remember that? Dun, 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 dun. Hello. It was great. It was great. And then the end kind of tainted a little bit. But if that had not happened, you have to look at the world and say, what's the positive factor, right? Got to make everything, make lemonade out of lemons. I can't change what happened. I can't change that Trump won. That was horrific. I can't change that photo. But what can I get joyful out of this experience? If all that hadn't happened, then we never would have gotten this interview with Tara Palmieri and Lindy Lee, which is my single favorite interview about this topic ever, which is Lindy Lee. And I just want to distinguish. I think Jake Tapper said some things, made some decisions, both sides in some cases, that irritated me and did a lot of important work. I don't put him, as some people do, in the grifter category. I don't. I think he was just trying to do journalism. I'm sure he was excited to get a really big selling book, and that does skew people a little bit. And you want a big bombshell, so you're going to put the thing in there that maybe wasn't perfectly substantiated. But in general, I don't see him as a grifter. Lindy Lee's a grifter, 100%, where she went from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, king and queen, to they're horrible and corrupt and it's all terrible. And that's just not an organic thing that happens at the flip of a switch. I've had some revelations, but it wasn't like, I'm now MAGA. That would be insane. And that's what she did. She's MAGA now. And she did this interview. Did I ask people to subscribe? Yeah, I did. With Tara Palmieri. And this is really where my Tara Palmieri fanship started. Here we go. So this first one's the iconic part where Lindy Lee talks about roaming around the White House freely.
Like, Lindy, you're invited to the White House. So
she saw, well, one more clarification, sorry. She saw Jake Tapper's book. We've gone over this before, but it's due time that we look at it again. And wanted her own book. And so she started making stuff up. At least Jake actually did some reporting. She just started making stuff up.
Because you wrote in your book that Biden became a personal friend as a result of your
I was
work.
I've been to the White House during his term more times than I can count. And I on several occasions, brought my mom, or I bring somebody else. And each time he would take time to meet with my family.
Not in a group setting, like with other fundraisers?
Not in a group setting, no.
Because you also wrote that he, quote, gave me free reign of the White House. Like, what does that mean, having free reign of the White House?
You could go to places that were usually cordoned off.
Like where?
When you go there on a tour, it's usually roped off. Or, at Christmas parties, it's like, areas you're just not allowed there. Mm-hmm. But
like what parts?
Ah! It's just when my heart just was given. Like what parts? I hope one day I can do something with that level of oomph in an interview. Like what parts? It's so good. It's so good. And just so you don't know, in case you don't know, Lindy Lee was like a fundraiser for Kamala Harris's campaign. She was in that whole world, fundraising, social media stuff. You can show this, Jaden, hyping up everyone, all so honored to hang out. And the second they lost, it was like, they're the worst. And I actually think Trump's great. And then she fundraised for Trump's inauguration. That's a little too fast.
But
like what parts?
I wasn't in the residence. I don't know the specific the names of the parts. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you're trying to get.
I wasn't in the residence. Who said you were? The residence? That's crazy.
Get at.
No, I'm just curious, because I saw in the book you also wrote that that you could
right. I asked your producer not to share.
I know, but why are you being sensitive about a book that you're putting out?
Because it's in draft form right now. It's not even done. So you're sharing a form that's really rough. And I specifically, he promised me that you wouldn't be sharing this rough draft with. It's not ready to be published, and you're sharing a draft that's not done.
But if it's a fact, it's a fact. If you wrote it, you were probably going to publish it, right? That's
no. Not necessarily. I didn't.
Why wouldn't you share that? Why would you write that and not publish it?
Because I'm working with somebody else on writing that book, and I know what you're referring to, and I didn't write that line.
It was on a PDF that looked very pitch book style. It's gonna, If you're coming out with a lot of really big claims,
Tara,
which I don't doubt.
I'm working with a ghostwriter. That was his first draft. I did not write that line.
He just made that up.
No, he didn't.
I don't know. I gotta learn from Tara here. There's something about the way she'll say something and then like sort of readjust and look at Lindy like, oh, really? It's like performative genuineness, but in the best of ways. I just got the craziest deja vu. Have I said that exact phrase before last time we covered this? That might be weird. But it's brilliant. Something's so brilliant about it.
Line.
He just made that up.
No, he didn't make that up. Tara, that is just not a version. And again, your producer said he wouldn't share it. It's in draft form. It's not, my book isn't out yet. It's not even available for pre-orders. Okay, it's not ready for public consumption. We are still writing the book.
It's interesting to me because I don't usually write things down, like.
I didn't write it.
Share things that would be pitched or written or sent around.
It's not. It's in draft form. It's not even. We're writing the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. Okay. So the ghostwriter didn't make it up, but it can't be shared because it's not something you wrote, because it's in draft form and it didn't happen, but the ghostwriter didn't make it up. So who made it up? You made it up and you shared it with the ghost. That's not how ghostwriters write. I'd have breakfast in the residence with Jill every morning. Like, you don't just put that in the book randomly. She didn't literally say that, but I mean, if we didn't have this whole saga of everyone selling their books about Biden, we wouldn't have gotten this interview. So that's a bonus. Here is her being asked why she thinks that, as she's claimed, people have approached her to make her book into a movie. A movie.
For a movie, and I got the feeling that they didn't think that Hollywood would be interested in producing a movie like this. So I'm curious, like, who in Hollywood is interested in producing this movie? Are they people with conservative backgrounds, or are they like your traditional Hollywood?
First of all, I think it's because my story is so distinctly unique, and I'm at the center of it. It's like a human life, and it's not your.
It's my favorite part when she goes, why would they want to write a movie about this if they didn't want to write a movie about like other more renowned journalists' books about the same topic? And she's like, I think because I'm at the center of it. What? You gotta check your ego. I cannot imagine saying that. Even if I thought it, I cannot imagine, just because like something about me is just so riveting. They talk about the story. It's like Trump, Biden, Vance, you know where I'm going, Kamala, Doug, Melania, and then sort of like Lindy Lee. Sort of in the story of American history, I think what we'll remember about 2024 is sort of Lindy Lee, sort of how she incorporated into every sort of that part of it, which was a much more compelling story than a president dropping off the ticket, Kamala Harris, etc. Something about Lindy's story. And she'll brag. I've said this before, but just since some of you hadn't seen this before, she'll brag about like, I got to go to places that people who get tours of the White House don't get to go. It's like, yeah, we all did, Lindy. That you're talking about when you get invited to special events, it's more free than just like a tour with a bunch of tourists. When you're invited as an influencer to a gala, they let you see cooler parts. It's not that special. I'm trying to work on it. It was still not as good as Tara. But like, why? Okay, let's keep going.
2024, way before 2023, and I had the receipts.
So this is about her. Why did you become conservative in a week and a half?
But then why would you say we await your apology for those who said Biden was?
Because I'm not going to undermine the campaign publicly. I'm just not. Terry,
why are we supposed to take your word in the future? I wanted to have
I'm not here for an inquisition. Am I gonna? Is this an inquisition?
No. But listen, here, Lindy, if I'm gonna interview you for this podcast and to, promote your book and what's coming up, I want to lay the groundwork of your credibility and why people should believe your word over the word of the campaign.
You're not listening to me though, because as a surrogate, I can't be out there undermining the campaign. It's my job. These are people that I've worked with for a decade. I cannot be, you keep private matters, like I had serious concerns about Biden's age that I raised to people who could actually do something about it. Like Ken Martin, like, Jamie Harrison at the time was chair, but like people who are actually elected officials in the party. I'm not gonna litigate.
That was kind of interesting. I don't know if she meant this, but when she said she raised these concerns to Ken Martin, and then she goes, or I guess Jamie Harrison was the chair at the time. Maybe she did raise it to Ken Martin, and then she thought separately that Jamie Harrison was. But a little part of me thinks she was just thinking, who's the DNC chair? And she was like, I raised it to Ken Martin. Oh, wait, no, I mean, Jamie Harrison is who I brought it up to. Sure.
It on TV when I was still part of the campaign. If we're stuck with Biden, that we just have to support Biden. That was my thought. It's like, come at the king, you better not miss. If you can't take him out, you have to support him, because then you would just end up helping the other guy. That was the logic that everyone.
Yeah, but now you love the other guy, right? So if you're saying you always loved him, then why does that matter to you? So that they went around on that for a while, just because Tara's making a great point, which is, how do we trust you now if you're saying just a few weeks ago, as of when that interview was recorded, you were saying something very different? And then her response is, well, because I was a surrogate. I was a part of the team. It's like, well, but you could just be seeing yourself as a part of a different team now. Well, how do we know you're telling the truth and not just fighting a team sport?
June 2024. I am.
Then why did you support Kamala Harris? Because she's not a conservative Democrat.
I didn't want to support Kamala Harris. We were handed Kamala Harris.
But you you stayed with them and you continued to be a
because I was a Democrat. I didn't, Tara. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to justify every single bullet point of my life. I've been on a trajectory towards the right for years now. I mean, we can go. You may or may not believe me. You seem to take a dim view of what I'm saying anyway. But it is the truth.
It's just a convenient time to become a conservative or to come out or come out.
What I mean is, can we go to the article, June 2024? This is before the article.
Do you remember when Kevin Spacey, get ready for this, had those allegations come out about him? And then his response was like, hey, I made some mistakes, but I can't remember exactly, but it was like something addressing the allegations. And also, it's time that I tell you I'm gay. And it was like, hey, whoa, we're so supportive of people's coming out, but there are wrong times to come out. And when you just got accused of sexual improprieties, I don't know if that's the time to be like, hey, can we have my gay party now? It's like, hey, any other time, Kevin. All right, wrong time. Same thing. Weird time to come out as conservative, Lindy. Weird time. Suspect. Then this
will evolve over time.
It's fair. People can totally change, but the question is, you worked for a campaign.
I didn't have a choice because I was a Democratic.
Nobody has to work that.
You're not getting it. Politics is my entire life. What do I do without politics?
So you don't believe what you're doing?
Are you like, should I become a teacher or something? Are you asking me to change my profession?
Well, no, I would not want you teaching our kids. That's number one. But number two, yeah, do a different job. If you see your job in politics as just going where the check is, or going where the political tides are. You thought that Biden was going to win, so you were for him. You thought Kamala Harris, pull that tweet back up, Jane, that was perfect. And now then Trump wins. You think that's where the tides? Yeah, I do think you should do something else if that's how you think advocacy in politics is correctly manifested. This was in October 28th. That's like right before the election. Probably 2 weeks before she went, I'm MAGA. And she said, absolutely loving my photo with the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. Folks, are you in? Come on. And then that one. Oh, poor Joe. Lindy, why'd you do this to me, Lindy? You used to hang around the residence. We used to play checkers together. I loved chutes and ladders. What's the game you'd play? I love backgammon. And then what was that post? What did you say about that one? I was with President Biden a few minutes after the debate tonight. Here we are at his watch party. He was amazing and kind as he always is, remembering tiny details about me and my family. I don't care what the pundits say about this great man. I will always be Team Biden. How do you switch so quickly? I don't care what the pundits say about him. Oh no.
I actually think that if you're gonna stand up and speak for other people as a surrogate, if you're gonna work for a campaign, and now you're gonna come out with a book, like, you should believe in what you're saying. Like, if you didn't believe in it then, how are we supposed to believe you now?
This is my truth, take it or leave it. I don't need you, Tara Palmieri, I don't need you to believe me. This is just my truth, and I have the receipts. It's up to the American people, and I know that people know that I'm telling the truth. Like, I have the receipts, and every single day, the facts and reality vindicate me. Just yesterday, I think it was LeBron James came out.
And that ended up being fake. Okay, so would you pull up on Amazon Lindy Lee Biden, maybe, and see if I'm curious if her book has been published yet and what the reviews are like. And we can just check that. You are a son of a gun. You had that ready. As of October 25th, 2020, as of October 2025, Lindy Lee's book is currently unpublished. Wait, October 20? Yeah, that's where we are. The next book's gonna be about me. Oof! This was 5 months ago. It's still in draft form? Man, that's going to be a good book. Okay. Maybe they want to release kind of simultaneously the book and the movie, and they're working on the movie, but they just can't figure out who to cast as Lindy because she's such a once-in-a-generation sort of figure. It's kind of like, it'd be so hard to pick who would play Abraham Lincoln in a biopic about him. Very similar. Last clip.
Etc. You were also a fundraiser. You said that you raised $37 million.
No,
that was a draft.
That was a placeholder number.
Oh, how much did you actually raise?
And that was a draft of the book that I told your producer not to share.
Oh no, I found that online actually.
No, really? Then I never said 37.
Oh, okay. Well, let's say it again. How much money did you were a fundraiser and you were a surrogate. A surrogate, for everyone who is just listening, is someone who goes on.
Okay, that's a bummer. All right, you put one fake stat or one fake story that you were hanging out with Joe Biden more than you were. Maybe we can handle that. But you also just randomly that was a placeholder number. Your book writing process is very. We were just watching Taylor Swift. Well, I've been watching a lot of her interviews lately, whatever. And we went and watched her movie in the theaters about the writing of her book. She talked about like the creative writing process and how one of the songs she wrote just started as a sort of writing exercise where it was like this format and then you have to write a song around it. And then it turned into one of her songs. And maybe that was a similar thing with Lindy. It was like to get the juices flowing, the writing, can be hard. You can have writer's block. You just kind of write out fake numbers, fake stories, kind of get it percolating, and then you'll go back and fill it in with real stories. I guess is what she's saying.